right. You might find this conversation interesting. So let me get closer and let's talk about this. Let's begin with a memory verse that I learned when I was young. It says, "It's appointed unto man to die once, and after death, judgment." It means that nobody will be judged whilst they are alive. It's not a scary thought. Nobody will be judged whilst they are alive. So, which also means that no matter how you live your life, you're not going to receive judgment within your lifespan. And so, it is therefore true that you can live your life anyhow and you will not be judged whilst you are alive. And you can live your life very well and you may not receive your reward whilst you are alive. Now, let me set the stage for the conversation. I'm sure you've seen people that make wrong choices and then they get consequences of it. And you see people that make right choices and then they do well. That is not judgment. Do you see that? Now, life as we know it has some principles within it, right? There are some multiple, there's some principles that guide this thing called life. There is kind of sowing and reaping. There's kind of some people call it karma and all of that, right? So those are within life as we know it, but those are not judgment, right? And also, you've also seen where God was stepping, actually punish somebody like Herod and all of that. But those are not judgment, those are God's intervention in life. Because if it's judgment, then everyone will receive it. Do you see that? So God has set up a schedule such that true judgment over your life will happen after death. Now, what does that mean? So it therefore means that you can't really use the notion that if you live right, things will end well for you in this life, and if you live wrong, things will end bad for you in this life. It's not necessarily so. You can do all the wrong things and your life will end well in this life. It's strange, but it's true. And you can also do the wrong thing, and then somehow the principles of life will catch up with you and you will not do well. The reason I'm bringing this conversation to the table is because I want you to know the motivation factor for living well or for living right. Because if you want to live right and make it a guarantee that you will succeed in this life, then your motivation might not keep you living right. Right? The main reason we live right is because we will be judged after this life. That is the primary reason. And definitely living right has some earthly benefit. But the main reason we live right is because we will be judged after this life. So, in other words, living right becomes extremely important after death. But whilst we are here, you can argue to anybody who don't believe the afterlife that living right makes sense. Now, let me make it more even challenging. Life as we know it, with all the principles and things in it, if you consider the balance between good and evil, life as we know it is pushed on the evil side a little bit. If we do a blend, life as we know it is about 70% bad and 30% good. That's why good people are not leading. It is only bad people. I mean, it's mainly bad people that are in charge. Do you see that? So the system of this world has tilted to the evil side a little bit, corrupt leadership and all of that. That is what plays out. It is not the righteous that are in charge. Do you see that? Right. And so, with that said, if you set your life to follow living a good, a holy or a righteous life, you are not going to fit very well in the systems of this world. You understand that? So all this presentation is to let you understand one thing. Make up your mind that you believe there's life after this life. And by the way, I didn't come to even advocate for life after. If you don't believe life is, I'm going to scare you with this statement. If you don't believe there's life after this life, then living right is not really going to be productive for you. Because in the world, There are times you can choose. So the world is not all that bad. Like I said, it's 70% bad and 30% good. So in this life, to succeed, there are some days you have to cut corners. There are some days so like the choice to sometimes compromise is necessary to succeed in this life. You understand that? So if you are going in and you don't want to compromise at all, chances are you will not succeed. Do you see that? And so if you believe there is life after this life, then you don't care whether you succeed or not, you're going to do the right thing. So it comes down to, do you believe there's life after this life? And here is the conclusion of the message. If you don't believe, it's fine with me, right? But don't be fluid about it. Be settle that question that I don't believe there's life after this life. And if you fall in that category, then I give you the go ahead to make a decision whether it's good or bad to survive. When you need to do bad and keep going. When you need to do good and keep going, because you don't believe after life. But if you believe there's life after this life, then no matter what, do the right thing. You understand that? Because you may likely not do well in this life. But if you believe and you have been convinced and convicted that this life is not where I'll be judged, but the afterlife, then I want you to hold on to that conviction and do life. You understand that? So it comes down to eternal reality. The battle is, because here's the bottom line: the battle between good and evil is not only happening in this phase of time. In this phase of time, evil is winning. You got to be naive to think that good is winning. Evil is winning, because I told you life has been shifted to this side. It's evil men that win. It's wicked men that win. It's corrupt men that win. Good men get killed in this life. Do you see that? So it comes down to, do you believe in the afterlife? That is the only motivation that those who are going to live right will depend on. Do you understand that? Because the whole idea of if you live bad things will happen to you is not true. You understand? It's not true at all. If you live a bad life, you will not be judged once you're alive. Do you see that? And so I want you to wrap your head around this truth, that settle in your heart and mind. Do you believe there's heaven? Do you believe there's hell? That is where you should live your life from. You understand? If you don't believe there's hell, if you don't believe there's heaven, then I give you the go ahead that when it's time to lie. When it's time to cheat. Do that, because that's the only way you will survive in this life. But if you believe there's heaven and there's hell, then make sure you are intentionally choosing to do the right thing, no matter the suffering or no matter the consequence. Do you see what I'm trying to say? So let that be your goal, that I want to build my life with the truth that there is judgment after this life. That's why I choose to do the right thing, because it is not in this life that you will be able to prove that being a good person matters, because the reality is that being a good person doesn't fit in the systems of this world. You understand that? We try to scare you with all kinds of things, but that's not reality. The issue we are dealing with is an example. How can you sleep with over 400 women and still be healthy? But according to the report, the guy is medically healthy. Do you see that? But if we're trying to scare your kid from sleeping around, we always say you're going to get sick. But you may not get sick if you sleep around. You see that? So I want you to understand that the only motivation that makes sense to live right is that you believe that it's appointed to man to live once, and after death, judgment. I hope it makes sense.